want to know, what do you feel like is Kanye West's best albums, maybe like in chronological order if you can, or ranking, or however you want to do it? Because you've been a fan like just as much as I've been a fan. Looking at the albums, what would you say from top to bottom? His best to his least best. I'm not, because I don't look at Kanye West as having like a worst album. So,
right.
What would be the least best?
I don't know, I'll probably say because just when they dropped, it was like different time frames of me being active duty military. Yeah. So college dropout, first time being away from my family. That was like something, like I was used to like Southern hip hop and rap like that, you know. So when I heard, like I picked up Kanye West, I didn't even know who he was, to be honest, man. I knew Jay-Z, Nas, the big New York names and stuff like that. But like going to, I remember it was, I don't even think it was the BX, man. I think it was like the bookstore off of the BX in Turkey.
Yeah.
And I saw the album cover, like the dude with the bear, you know. I'm like, man, let me check this out. Rockefeller, it's probably dope, you know. And I listened to it, and I'm like, oh my, you know, this dude is like from top to bottom, game changer, right? So classic album, you got to go with this first one, College Dropout.
First album you got is College.
Everything seems scary from far away, but once you get on the roller coaster, you realize you might actually have fun on this thing. The roller coaster looks really, really big, you know what I'm saying, from far away. Some of them you actually get hurt on, but being hurt recognizes that you're human. How did hip hop influence you? Hip hop, early on, hip hop was MC Hammer. You know, like I think my first memory of hip hop is like being at my parents' parties or our kids' parties in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Shout out to everybody that was there from, our time there from 89, 92, Navy brat. Just doing the Running Man at trying to do the hammer dance at parties, you know what I'm saying, like kid stuff, like, hey, look, hey Roman, come here, do that dance they doing now, that type of shit. But it was introduced in a very interesting way. MC Hammer was, the first thing. And then there was Vanilla Ice. So pretty much all the ones that they claim to be sellouts, they sold out, all right. They got pretty fucking rich. I mean, I wouldn't quote Vanilla Ice outside of Ice Ice Baby. That's the only one I really know by him. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, those were the influences. I mean, I was a kid. It was only so much I was going to be able to see. But you know what I'm saying? Definitely Will Smith. As you can see, there's a certain commonality with these commercial rappers, you know what I'm saying? But, that would soon, commercial rappers have changed over time. I mean, it's easy to poke fun at Hammer, Vanilla Ice, Will Smith, Bow Wow, you know what I mean? But they sold, you know what I'm saying? They made money. People come to see them. You laughing all the way to the bank. I mean, you can probably throw Nelly in there if you want to. Snoop, you know what I'm saying, as far as like being commercial, as in everybody know him, as in they crossed over, that white people like him, you know what I'm saying? That's what really that fucking means. But, like Will Smith, Summertime, I would see, you know what I'm saying, like the music video. And, I was kind of kept away from that shit living in Cuba. But when we moved back to the States, and I got to be around like my older cousins, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't take hip hop seriously until probably about, 93, with Doggy Style. But when I'll be around you know what I'm saying, like my older cousins, you know, Richard and Corey, Richard would play Bone Thugs a lot. You know, I remember him playing Bone Thugs. He was, I think almost obsessed with them fuckers for a little while. And rightfully so, I'm right behind him, his right-hand man. That's that's big bro, little bro right there. I used to love Bone Thugs' original version of Crossroads. And wanna even know you gon' go. That shit, I liked a lot. What else? Lords of the Underground. My cousin Corey used to have this fucking tape. They used to play this shit. I think it sounded like "Sleep for Dinner in the Underground," something like that. But you know, like they would have that shit, and then whatever my dad would play around me. So typically your big name shit like Dr. Dre, Snoop, or the ones from the '80s like Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5. Run DMC, and but you know what's crazy about Run DMC was I was watching Rap City one time, and it was just an infectious ass beat that I heard, and I was like, oh, I would say before that moment I liked hip hop records, you know what I'm saying? I was just trying to keep up, you know what I'm saying? I was just trying to keep up being, like I said, little brother, trying to be seen, validated. So Domino with Ghetto Jam, here we go, where's the groove, start the groove with a back, for the day. That shit, you know what I'm saying? Like there would be music videos that I would see, you know what I'm saying, I would vibe to. I guess you couldn't even really consider them, but that song they did, This Is For My Homie. I dip my 40 to your memory. Like those records, I would see. I wish I was a little bit taller. You know what I'm saying? Like again, these are commercial hits. You know, they're funny. They're not really like the lyrical ones. So my pops had Doggy Style, and like you know. Doggy Style, I wasn't really able to, obviously, I mean, you look at the album cover, mom ain't about to have that shit. It's so weird that, you know, my pops would let me pretty much listen to any fucking thing. And then here I got Yolanda Adams in the house with me, ain't letting me listen to a goddamn thing, you know, with cussing in it, you know. And so the times I get caught like listening to the shit, but you know, I'm like 7, 8 years old outside trying to be seen, validated. I know all the fucking words to Doggy Style. I do. I know them from start to finish, you know what I'm saying? I know Gin and Juice, you know, the Shiznit. The Shiznit is probably like my favorite off of Snoop. That and Serial Killer off of Doggy Style. Was the beat alone. It's just a variation of other shit Dr. Dre done. But you know, Doggy Style was like that album, the first album that I could recite, you know, from start to finish. And of course, Crisscross, you know, it was popular. Totally Crossed Out album, knew that start to finish. But that's, again, I look at it like children's albums and shit like that. What else? That was just play around that time. But getting back to the Rap City point, you know, I said a lot of shit, you know, I ramble all the time. But getting back to that Rap City point, Eric Sermon was being interviewed. I think it was Big Tig or whoever that nigga was that was there before Big Tigger. And Eric Sermon is sitting there, and there's the Sucker MC's beat by Run DMC. I didn't know it was them at the time because it's just an instrumental. But I was like, yo, like this, whatever it is, I just felt like 80s because it doesn't have any melodies. The rap was just straight drum and bass, you know, if that, it's just drum and bass, you know what I'm saying? Like the drums, it was just all, like most of the rap beats were just pretty much drums because you wanted to wait for a break beat anyway. That's how hip hop got its form, you know what I'm saying? That's why they call them break dancers, because you would wait for the break of, you know, a particular song where they take the melody out and it would just be like the drums, and then that's when, you know what I'm saying, B-boys, B-girls would get on the floor, cardboard and all that stuff, you know? But like the essence of it all, I loved the way that artists could form words to flow so well, which is why Bone Thugs like were astounding to me. You know what I'm saying? Like Busy Bone has so much energy. Busy and Crazy. You know, they were the standout ones for me. And how hip hop has influenced me. It changed the way I dressed, changed the way I talked, changed the way I wanted to be recognized in the world. I think like most kids, whether you were following rap or you were following rock or you were following rock and roll, as a teenager, you wanted to look like what you saw on TV. And so Crisscross wanted to wear my clothes backwards. Nelly wearing clothes backwards again. I didn't put a Band-Aid on my face, but I think we had like the headbands. Yeah, high school we definitely wore a headband. DMX, I wanted to wear that motherfucking chain. Yeah, like It's Dark as Hell is Hot. The standouts, those are standouts. You know what I'm saying? Like if I had to test any albums that reminded me of my upbringing leading up to, you know, becoming 18 and leaving the house, it was It's Dark as Hell is Hot is probably my favorite. Doggy Style. And I can't shit on Hammer. Well, you know what I'm saying? What is it? Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em album. What else, man? Yeah, so Doggy Style. Volume 2, Jay-Z, Hard Knock Life, Volume 2. That was one of the albums that I had. At first I had the edited version. I think I traded with somebody so I could play the fucking edited version in the house without my mama giving me shit. So yeah, Doggy Style, It's Dark as Hell is Hot, Volume 2, Hard Knock Life, and Through the Wire. Like I had just graduated and I was in delayed enlistment program waiting to join the Air Force, and Through the Wire came out, and let me tell you, I was spellbound from the start what Kanye was doing. I was like, first off, who is this motherfucker? You know what I'm saying? And then it's like the We Are the Champions. I think that came out senior year, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was like 02, 03. The We Are the Champions. They did that for State Property 2 album. No, something I forget what it was a soundtrack. It was part of the soundtrack. And that was when we thought Twista had joined Rockefeller, because Dame at the end is like, you know, it's a new member of Rockefeller like Twista or something. It's like, oh shit, son, Twista is with Rockefeller. And you know what I'm saying, like we so caught up in the hype of like wanting to be in the hip hop scene. Like it was just a major thing, like because they were big players at the time. They just came out with Chris and Neef. They had Memphis Bleak, Skino and Sparks. You know what I'm saying? Like rock was big. Rock was real big. Can't forget about Diplomats. I mean, it influenced our high school because we had the guy. We were like the juggernauts. It was more like G Unit. So there was what we call P Unit, where my boy Pug was like pretty much the leader. Shout out to Pug. You know what I'm saying? That's a Brownwater Porter, by the way. Check his music out on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, all that shit. But we had like groups or whatever. It's not, I wouldn't call it gang, but you know, it was like just groups of us hanging together. And in the school, you know, there was P Unit, and then there was like the Dipset, and it was like the Jocks or whatever. So because 50 had just came out, and you know what I'm saying, when I heard in the club, the realest niggas was like, yo, put this shit on repeat. Like me and I think me and my nigga Rashad was like riding somewhere. I think we were out of school or something like that, probably riding to go get some kind of fast food shit. That's pretty much all we did. I think we was riding to Wendy's or just came from somewhere. And he had like this mix CD that had 50. It probably was like 50's mixtape or some shit. And it had that shit. You know, it had realest niggas by 50 with the big, you know, with Biggie on the verse. And I was like, yo, what is this shit? And I must have told Rashad to play that shit at least 4 times straight. It was just another infectious record. But hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Like the lyrical, like the love that I have for it, it's hard when when hip hop outgrows you or you outgrow hip hop. I don't really know. I mean, I guess perspective. You know, I don't think it's wrong to say it either way. But when you listen to something, it's like, yeah, I can't fuck with that shit no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't like the way it was going. I'm not into the trap shit like that. I just don't feel it. You know what I mean? I'm not knocking the young Gipper Gappers and Thundercats for making the music that they do, because again, kids like it, but we all have our time. I think you get to that point where you're just holding on to the music that you grew up with, and you're not willing to change. You know what I'm saying? You're not willing to evolve with that. I just think that lyrically, hip hop did not elevate from as far as like with that trap shit. I don't feel like those trap beats allow you to spit the way that you can spit over like that boom bap shit. So like Griselda Gang, Simba, Pusha T, like there's just so many, Jadakiss, you know what I'm saying? Like these guys, you just get spellbound when you hear it. I'm gonna say spellbound 4 fucking times. Spellbound, you know what I'm saying? But J. Cole, you know what I'm saying? Wale, shout out to Wale. Didn't really get, I feel like Wale never really got his just due, but that brother had it, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like the marketing didn't line up for him, because he was supposed to be bigger than what he was. I feel the way about Wale the way Jay-Z said about Common. Like, truthfully, I want to rhyme like Common Sense, but I did 5 minutes. I ain't been rhyming like Common Sense. And or like truth be told, I'd probably be lyrically Talib Kweli. And yeah, that's the same song. Jay was talking about, you know, he wish he could rhyme like Talib Kweli do, you know, being socially conscious and all that shit. But commercial is going to reign supreme. That's going to bring in the dollars. That's going to be able to, you know, buy the brands and all that shit. But keeping it and true to its essence, I just don't feel like that. I don't feel that that trap shit. The problem as much as I do the boom bap shit. You know, like I said, not knocking it. I'm not gonna call it horrible. I just don't feel it. It just doesn't go for me. But I mean, hip hop has just influenced me over the years. You know, at some point, I feel like hip hop is eternally a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Like the music itself will always remind us of the times we had in middle school, high school, elementary, whatever. Early parts of the Air Force. You know, Southern rap, East Coast, West Coast, now the Midwest. You know what I'm saying? With Missouri, Nelly, who else? Memphis, and honestly, shout out to Memphis right now. I mean, they're really doing a lot of things. They're killing a lot of niggas, but you know, they're doing a lot of things in hip hop right now. Like Glorilla, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm not able to listen to a whole album of it, but that shit knock. I won't lie, that shit be knocking. Miami's hip hop scene, my boy Yooda, you know what I'm saying? Still doing it. You know, Yoda's been doing music for the longest. And you know, just young, like I say, young guys coming up. My cousin, you know what I'm saying? AJStayWorkin. Yeah, up and coming engineer and producer. Definitely check him out. You can look at all the stuff he's produced on iTunes right now. I mean, the man has been, he's a workhorse, and I'm totally inspired by him. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think who else do music. Tech, you know, which is like a little brother to me and my cousin's like best friend or whatever. Like Tech is another thing. Hotboyteck is another artist, you know, again, does the trap shit. I don't feel it like it, but I'm biased because that's like little bro. So, you know, I'll listen to the stuff and support it. So just gonna give it time to shout that out. And, you know what I'm saying? Of course, just the, you know, like I said, the actual, you know, like the mainstream Florida rappers, Pitbull, Rick Ross, you know, Ross's Trilla album is, we was just talking about that the other night at this birthday party. Rick Ross is, his album Trilla. Trilla is like one of the best albums. And you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Drake. I'm not a Drake fan, but I give respect to what Drake has done for the last 10 years, 10 summers, whatever you want to call it, in hip hop. And of course, Kanye's got a lot of shit going on, but you know, the music, the influence that he's had, Wayne, Eminem, Jay, Snoop. I don't have time to give a top 50 or whatever, but all these guys, just like the lyrical content, That's what it really was for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, give a shout out to the forefathers for keeping, the essence of hip hop with the b-boy, the DJ, the MC. And the MC pretty much was the voice of the DJ. With the MC, we used to just talk about the DJ, but now all of a sudden, the MC is always about the fucking MC. And that's, again, that's evolution of the music. But, I mean, I can talk hip hop, I can talk music all fucking day. Hip hop influenced me, like I said, style of dress. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? For a little while, I was wearing them big ass, large ass white tees we used to wear, 3X, 4X white tees, baggy pants, sagging pants. You know what I'm saying? Until one of the, the members of the church come and say, boy, put them damn pants up. Well, they wouldn't cuss, but you get what I'm saying. Put your pants up there, blah. You know what I'm saying? Your mama would beat you if she saw that, that type of stuff. But that's back when, communities looked out for communities. Nowadays, you can't really say shit, boy. When kids might have a strap on them or something like that, like it's just a little nutty. But hip hop has influenced me, and I say in so many ways. The confidence, that hip hop has. Wu-Tang. I mean, I love, right now I'm watching the Wu-Tang series. What is it? American Saga. It's interesting to see how they put out there how much they really did not fuck with Divine, which is RZA, the creator of Wu-Tang's older brother. And I just like the way it is, but it just reminded me of like those times in the 90s, that feel that was in hip hop. Hip hop was more aggressive. I feel like hip hop has got like I said, a softer sound. You know what I'm saying? In certain aspects, as far as what they want to push commercially. But nevertheless, hip hop is for the kids. Like Wu-Tang is for the kids. Like ODB said. But love hip hop, love music. I'll forever, be grateful for the times that hip hop has brought me, my friends, my family, and what else can I say? I love it. What's some trauma you sustained from a relationship? I mean, some trauma like trust issues. I mean, I believe that me and these individuals were mirrors of each other. Were mirrors of everything that we had gone through in our lives, and it was all coming out in front. And it's like you trauma bond, and then you find out that you're attracted to, probably something traumatic that happened to you by your caretakers, parents, people you've been around or whatever. And you find yourself attracted to like the toxic forms of your parents. And it's just, when you realize it, it's like, fuck, I did it again. Here I am with the same character, just a different person. And it keeps happening, it keeps happening. The one common denominator is you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to really be an adult. You have to be accountable. You have to be responsible and understand, like, what is it that I find to be familiar, and what is best for me. And a lot of us don't see it, because when you have a crush, you ignore red flags. And like, so when you see them, you're caught up in the hype, the beginning stages, you guys are talking so much, all this shit, you can't wait to see each other, all that, the honeymoon phase, as they say. And then as that shit wears off, you know what I'm saying, all that energy you was riding on early in the relationship starts to wear down a little bit, and you start to be able to see things for what they are versus what you want, that you would actually like them to be. And then you realize that there's a lot of shit that I don't really care for with this motherfucker. And you realize that it's worse than you thought it was for yourself. You know what I'm saying? As far as like for your mental health and where you are, because everybody's different, because we come from different upbringings. Your family might be the one that's very violent and argumentative and loud and shit like that. So you're more than likely to be attracted to someone that's going to be loud, argumentative, and kind of that level of toxicity where like you guys are arguing all the time, arguing about nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to validate somebody's insecurities. Trying to validate somebody's insecurities. And that shit is draining. Those relationships are the most draining to ever find yourself in. You know what I mean? But what I've sustained in relationships is a tremendous amount of anxiety that I brought upon myself for not speaking up, for being quiet. But it's also that narrative where men are told to shut the fuck up and just kind of be a man, if you will, and like trying to just do right by your woman. Like no matter what, she's right, even if it's toxic, which I would learn later on. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to stand by, because that's what I saw. I mean, that's what was going on in the house for me. You know what I mean? Like it didn't matter what my mom did, she was right. So that's the mentality that I kept. And no person, I repeat, no person is without flaws. So when you believe that narrative in your mind that this particular person, like, you know what I'm saying, in this case, like my mom's or whatever, like no matter what she does, it's right. So when you get with a woman, you believe no matter what she does, she's right, even if it's detrimental. You know what I mean? And it's poisonous. It's poisonous, and now that you believe that, now you start to do it yourself. Now you become the toxic individual. Now you drank the poison, and now we're spewing it at each other, and arguing like 5-year-olds. Because that's what we are. Like when we're arguing in relationships, it's pretty much the outside looking in. For people that's not watching the ones arguing, it look like 2 5-year-olds fighting over a damn toy or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh no, this is my fruit snack. You know, my fruit by the foot, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And fruit roll up. Like we fighting over snacks and shit in here, and you don't see it, man, because when you get triggered, you've turned back time. You've gone back to being 5 years old and being misunderstood. We holler. I believe that we holler because we don't feel heard. So I'm going to talk to the highest point of my lungs. It might work in the beginning, but after a while, people just get used to it. It's like, what I'm saying, living in an apartment where you got loud ass neighbors that be hollering all the time. Oh, the first time you hear it's like, yo, what the fuck going on? Then after a while, it's like, oh, that's what you do. And you have no control over it, and you just kind of take it for what it is. But it's toxic as fuck. So I know that I wasn't the best at communication early on in relationships, and still need help. Still working at it. You know what I'm saying? I'm a work in progress when it comes to communication and used to not being heard. So I use this platform for one, definitely make sure I'm fucking heard to the whole fucking world, but also knowing how to listen. And that's one thing when I get pissed or whatever, like if I allow myself to lose my emotional intelligence, even for a brief moment or whatever, I'm no longer listening. I know that about myself because I want to avenge all of the damage that had been done to me in said relationships. So trauma sustained, I said trust issues, lies being told, hiding shit from one another, like doing sneaky shit around one another. And I was mirroring everything that had been done. That I was, the things that I was doing was being mirrored back to me. And it's freaky when it's starting to happen to you. And you gotta take that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta take that and recognize your role in the situation, because you're not control. You don't have control over what that person does. You only have control over how you respond to it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't speak up, then toxic shit just gonna keep happening. And when you feel like you're not worthy of love and you have like this very dominant person that you're with, it can literally feel like you're back in childhood where you had to fight for affection. You had to fight for love. You fight to feel that you were loved. So you're willing to do whatever to be with this individual who's more valuable than you, as far as at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is toxic thinking. This is definitely a poisonous way of thinking, because all of us are valuable. All of us are worthy of love. You know what I'm saying? All of us just don't have the chemistry to be together based off of how our personalities are. And that's okay, because everybody doesn't have the same values. But like being in a situation where you're afraid to have a conversation for fear of confrontation. See, confrontation meant abandonment. And abandonment meant that I was going to be left alone. And I think that's another childhood thing, you know what I mean, that I've learned from therapy, learned from, like reading books and shit, watching videos, as much content as I can to kind of just really understand myself to the best of my ability. And like it caused me to go into a shutdown mode, almost like panic, where if every time me and this individual talk about something, it's like literally it's going to be an argument, and like I really don't want to do it, so I'm going to shut the fuck down. Like, but that individual, looking at them from their side, if they don't get aggressive, they're not going to be heard, so they're pretty much trying to beat me to the punch. It's just that they're doing it more in an aggressive way, and I'm looking at it from I don't feel like I'm as worthy as the individual that I'm with, because I put that individual on a pedestal. You know what I'm saying? So when we put people on a pedestal, we feel like we don't have a fucking voice sometimes. And it was traumatic. It was traumatic for me, what I went through. Definitely was on the verge of drinking becoming an alcoholic. And I stopped myself. I'm like, yeah, I will not do what I saw, you know what I'm saying, growing up. I won't do it. It's a curse in the family. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's family got their demons or whatever. Ours got alcohol. You know what I'm saying? So I was determined to not allow myself to go down that route, and it really just like and then like more trauma sustained is like controlling who you talk to as friends. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember, being just a friendly dude, get me wrong, was flirtatious, you know what I'm saying, like before, prior to getting in that relationship with girls. But once in a relationship, it's like, these are the blue pill days, you know what I mean? Like straight blue pill, you know what I mean? Like about Disney World mindset about the girl that I was with, you know what I'm saying? I was just solely about, once I had her, that was it. You know what I'm saying? That was it. That was all I wanted to talk to. I think she was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and she wanted to control who I fucking talk to. You don't need to talk to her. You know what I mean? That type of shit. And foolish as I was, blue pill with no backbone and no boundaries. Okay, you know what I mean? Fine. I can't talk to you. Sneak and call her anyway, type shit. So there's trust. There's my trust right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you trust a nigga that's doing shit like this? But you shouldn't be having to control what a person does. I don't believe that in a relationship. I believe a person should be given the freedom to do exactly what they set out to do. You don't have to stay. You know what I mean? It's just a choice that you have to make. Like I'm not gonna tell you that you're not able to, I don't know, put ranch on French fries or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or control like the friends. I mean, if you continue to have these toxic ass friends that you're gonna be influenced by, then I'm not staying for it. Those are my healthy boundaries, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm allowing you to be you, but respecting myself at the same time. And same goes, you know what I'm saying? Like if you know you got like, you know, those male friends, and those male friends that are snipers, you know what I'm saying? They'll wait with that sniper on for however long it takes to get to that pussy. You know what I'm saying? And it's common with blue-pilled, like I said, blue-pilled men like to do so. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're the types that's always in your ear telling you about the guy that you're seeing. Like, oh, you know, he ain't good enough for you, girl. He's horrible. And it's just like I said, it's you know what I mean? Like I said, that's blue-pilled beta male shit. You know what I'm saying? I used to do the same shit. So that's how I'm able to recognize it. But all in all, no man tears down another man. I don't care what type of shit he's got going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what we do in the world of masculinity. We don't tear down men. We don't. Truthfully told, we don't tear down women either. We just recognize that there's certain personalities that's not going to be good for a high value man. And if you're aspiring to be one, you have to recognize that you got to have healthy boundaries with that shit. And so just the toxicity, like spying, being spied on, not being trusted. There was just poor relationship tactics. We were, our insecurities were just out in the open. We're just out of control. All of us, the women that I was in relationships with, but we never seen a healthy relationship. I don't believe either of us had to even know what a healthy relationship was, you know what I mean? And that's what growth is about. Growth is about, okay, this is where I fucked up. This is where I feel like you fucked up, okay? And right now, we're not mentally sound enough to be in this relationship together. There's a lot of shit that I have to do on my own before I can even venture into bringing somebody else in. I think it's only fair to do that. And it sounds easy, it sounds simple, but when you're on the field, the view looks different. You know what I'm saying? Like the way, like the person that's in the box, people, innocent bystanders, the way the people look in the stands, the view of the game looks different than when you're actually on the field and like actually in play. So you have to build awareness. You know what I mean? Develop emotional intelligence to the point where you recognize that nothing anyone does is about you and that you should not make assumptions. And you never use the word against you. You don't talk about yourself in a poor light because your body doesn't know the fucking difference. If you speak about yourself in a negative way, you're going to have negative results. So your thoughts, same thing. You want to watch your thoughts. You want to make sure that you have positive thoughts. Whenever you feel like negative thoughts, replace them because you are not your thoughts. But your decision of what you do is based off how you feel about yourself. So you have to feel good. You know what I'm saying? You have to think positively in order to have positive results. Period. We become what we think about. You know what I mean? And it's just like stay in the course. Stay in the course. But trauma's real. Trauma is just poison. Something negative happened here. It was passed on. It keeps getting passed on. And the only way to conquer trauma is love. So self-love, number one, because that's going to teach everybody else how to love you, and you're going to teach everybody else how to love is self-love. So it's like learning to take accountability, responsibility for the things that you did and your shit. All the shit you've done. I don't care what you've done. You know what I'm saying? It can be forgiven. And because forgiveness is not about that individual, forgiveness is for you so that you can move the fuck on and not relive the past. Each day is a separate life, but every time we think about an old memory, we're going to relive that same feeling. That's how our nervous system works. So if we can focus on doing, practice mindfulness, guarding, the door of our minds every day, we can stay in a positive light, you know what I mean? And just become better people. We recognize that we're spiritual beings here on this earth, only here for a limited amount of time. You know what I mean? And everything, no matter how crazy a relationship can be, everything looks very, very small when you look at it from space. You know what I'm saying? Everything over here gets smaller. You know how like when you be on the plane and shit, and you be on the ground level, everything looks wild. And then once you fly off on the plane and you look down, like, damn, shit gets smaller. But that's just our minds. That's the power of of our minds and shit and how we view things. So We change the way we change the way we think. We change the way we live. You know what I mean? And yeah, we'll just get better that way. How do you bounce back from taking L's in life? Wow. Well, I mean, there's a multitude of ways that you can bounce back. But number one is you have to love yourself unconditionally, right? When you love yourself with conditions, you're going to state that you're going to feel like I'm not worthy of anything unless I get this. But no matter what the fuck you do, you have to love yourself unconditionally. You have to practice self-love every fucking day. You gotta talk to that person in the mirror. I don't care if you feel like you're too fat or you're too fucking short, too tall, too skinny, whatever, and say, I love you unconditionally. And you know what I'm saying? Just do your best when you get up each day. You know what I'm saying? Like we have a tendency to kind of put too much on our plate. And it's an insecurity, if you will. It's like we feel like we have to do all these things in order to be loved sometimes. I'll say for some of us, I'll speak for me rather. And those and learning to fight that shit. Like it's just shit from your childhood kind of resurfacing in different ways. And it's wild when you see it and you can see your little self just trying to be seen, and it manifests into your adult life. And what you do is try to be Superman, you know, Superwoman. But it's learning to manage time, learning to balance your energy, manage the fucks you give daily, because you're only allotted so many fucks a day. So certain things just are not fuckable. They're not fuck worthy, you know what I mean? So you want to be very, very mindful of how you look at things, because it's not what the actual thing is, it's how we're looking at the thing, if that makes sense, right? So I was watching an emotional intelligence lecture when I was at the gym earlier today, and he was talking about, like, you ever read an email and just get angry looking at the email? And it's based off of, you know, your history of things and these beliefs that you have in your mind about whatever is being said in this email, and of course how you feel about yourself. But if you bring in somebody who does not speak our language, or you know what I mean, and just have them read that same email, they're not going to have the same response as we would, those that can read the shit or have been through similar things that we can relate to in the email. So I mean, that's pretty much life, you know, like when things happen to us, it is our experiences and our beliefs that will determine how we look at it and how we respond to shit. You know what I'm saying? Breakups. We could go through a breakup and one person is overjoyed for the breakup because of what they endured, and another person is devastated. The same situation happened. It was just two different results. You know what I'm saying? Losing your job, being fired. There are a lot of people that were able to start their own businesses and got inspired through, you know, like Jim Rome has a saying that you tend to get motivated due to desperation or through inspiration. You know what I'm saying? So like when you lose your job and the only thing you got is I gotta work something out, it pushes you. Probably the universe has a way of pushing you because knowing that you weren't gonna do it on your own. And so when things happen, it's all about how we look at them, our perspective. Perspective is key. You know what I'm saying? And nothing is really, you know, like the right or, you know, it's not really right or wrong. You know what I mean? It's more like, how am I looking at this thing? How can I change this? What am I looking at? And I'm interpreting the situation and I feel like it's a bad thing, or I feel like this is a good thing. You know what I mean? One person finds out they're pregnant, they're overjoyed. Another person finds out they're pregnant. Fuck! Gotta deal with this bitch for 18 years. You know what I mean? Like it's all about perspective. You know what I mean? Or being married. Some people think, great, I'm married. You know, like you're happy about being married, and then there's another motherfucker like, this marriage ain't always cracked up to be. It's all about perspective and how you're looking at it, how you're working towards it. But when you bounce back, bouncing back from L's, I mean, say all that to say, it's about how you're looking at life. And you have to maintain a positive outlook. Like, positive people find solutions to problems. Negative people find problems to every solution. And you gotta be really mindful of who you're around too. Your support system is very key. And if you're in a toxic environment and you're going through some shit, may the force be with you, because it's not gonna feel good. You want to avoid the unhappy and the unlucky, like your life depends upon it. There is so much strength in being able to walk alone. I mean, I think it's great to have, people that support you, but there's so much strength. The love that you thought you needed, you already had the whole fucking time. It's all in you. It's your perspective and your perception of what that love is. You know what I'm saying? If you've convinced yourself that you're missing, that you're lacking love, guess what? You're never going to be satisfied. You will never be satisfied, because you program your mind so much that I don't have this shit. Everything outside of you is a luxury. You know what I mean? Everything outside of you. Your friends, you don't own them. Your job, you don't own it. Your children, you raise them, you know what I'm saying? But you don't own them. They come out of us, but they have their own life to live. And it's learning to process that information and be like, okay, all the power within me is already inside of me. All your power comes from within. The way you perceive something, the way you think about something, the way you feel about yourself. I can tell you fine as fuck. I can tell you the baddest bitch ever. I can say you're the most beautiful woman that I've ever seen. But if you do not believe that in your subconscious mind that you are beautiful, you will always feel like you are ugly or just not worthy of love. You know what I mean? Or you'll chase the individuals that don't love you to get the validation that you're familiar with when you were younger. You know what I'm saying? Being neglected. You know what I'm saying? But you have to believe in yourself, whatever you're gonna do, whatever comes up. So another way of bouncing back from L is believing in yourself. And how does one believe in oneself? You just go with it, right? It's just having faith. Whether you believe in God, the universe, Satan, I don't know, a giraffe, whatever you believe in, have faith that it's going to work out. Everything that happens for good. It's all about how we look at it. We think we're in control. Our anxiety comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. So whenever you feel yourself loaded with anxiety, ask yourself, what the fuck am I trying to control that I have no control over? Why am I not trusting the universe? Why am I not trusting God, trusting life to go as it is? Because life is just gonna move. You know what I'm saying? We can sit here and wallow and cry about somebody that we lost. Life still moves the fuck on. We can talk about a family member that died. Life is gonna move the fuck on. A girlfriend, boyfriend, it's gonna move the fuck on. You know what I'm saying? A job that we once had, a toy we once had. Life still moves the fuck on, even if we stay in that point in our mind. Now we can be in our mind for me, I can be in 1995 and living that every day. Those same fears that come up through my nervous system, the way it was back then, you know what I'm saying? I can live that every day. But if I don't find a way to live in the present moment, I'm gonna be fucked. Every fucking day. Every fucking day of my life, I'm gonna be fucked. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to project those insecurities from childhood onto my surrounding peoples and surroundings. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like learning to face everything that you fear. It's not easy, but everything seems scary from far away. But once you get on the roller coaster, you realize you might actually have fun on this thing. The roller coaster looks really, really big, you know what I'm saying, from far away. Some of them you actually get hurt on. But being hurt recognizes that you're human. You know what I'm saying? If you're afraid to get hurt, you're afraid to use your heart. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of us do that. You know, the fear of commitment, fear of looking like a fool, fear of being played, fear of being cheated on, fear of losing someone. It's gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? It's inevitable. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, we really think we're in control. We have no control. And I'm telling you, as a person that tried to control their life like The Sims for the last 37 years, due to trauma and all that shit, it is not fun. It's not at all. The trauma that you self-inflict and the trauma that you've had done to you, they're having a fucking field day. And if you give power to it, it will conquer you. But recognize that I said give power. That means I already had the fucking power. And that's what we all got. We all got the power. It's just a matter of what we're giving it to. Who am I giving power over me? Because they couldn't do it without my permission. You know what I'm saying? You need my permission to offend me. And if I recognize that I find you to be offensive, you know, it's up to me to stay in that shit. I can only be a victim one time. After that, I'm a volunteer. So, learning to move the fuck on, you know what I'm saying? Learning to bounce back from your L's is recognizing that shit happens and mistakes are to be made. If you want to really make it in this world, you have to make as many mistakes as possible. I don't know if your parents ever told you this. I know I damn sure wasn't told that. I was raised to be a perfectionist, or I wouldn't feel love. You know, love would be removed and shit in different ways. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, you fuck up or something like that, you might get the cold shoulder, somebody ignore you or whatever. You know what I mean? But being able to recognize that you are worthy of love. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to trust that shit. And, you know, I know a lot of men don't really touch base. A lot of men that want to be so-called hard shit like that don't necessarily think that this type of talk is meant for the aggressive, but you'd be surprised what it does for your mental, man. As a masculine man that is trying to embrace you know, mental health, emotional intelligence, you know, being in touch with spirituality, all that shit. It enables you a new power to exert upon yourself and others. Like, be the power of healthy boundaries, the power of understanding. You know, like, to understand all is to forgive all. When you recognize, like, why people do things that they do, you know, it's helpful. Because most of the time when we get pissed off is because we don't understand something. But once we understand, it's like, oh, okay, I got it. But so what I want to say is just that bouncing back from L's, man, just stay out of your head as much as possible when things happen. Don't turn the word against yourself. Do not blame yourself when certain things happen. If you've made mistakes, take accountability for it, but do not beat yourself up more than necessary when it comes to shit like that. You know, mistakes were meant to learn from. It wasn't a life sentence. You know what I'm saying? It was a life lesson, not a life sentence. So I say that to anybody that may be going through some shit that they're not showing, hiding from their peers because they don't want to be judged. They don't want to be treated like a handicapped person, because, you know, that's what some people do. They want to take over and become mommy or become daddy to you. But if you're, you know, as you're silently going through your struggle, believe in yourself. Stay out of your fucking head. Just believe that you gotta have faith in yourself. That's it. That's the only way out of it. I don't care. No one's entitled to be there for you. So if anybody is there for you, be grateful for that. You know what I mean? Do not expect people to be there for you. You have to be there for yourself, because that's who it's going to take when you're down. I mean, it's great if you get help when you go through things, but do not expect anything from anyone. Do not feel so entitled that you deserve people to be there for you. You know what I mean? Just be grateful for whoever shows up, and be grateful for criticism too. You know what I'm saying? Nothing anyone does is about you. Just take the message from it. Some people have a different way of delivering messages, and you just have to be able to decipher between those things. But, you know, bouncing back from L's takes some work. But either way, you know, I think all these things should be like pretty helpful as far as bouncing back from L's. So anybody going through, wishing you positive and healing energy and unconditional love.